Welcome back to TED Talks, The Rise and Fall. When we left off in part 1, we learned how the TED brand grew to be a cultural icon. Today we'll look at the backlash and criticism that has followed TED's rise. We'll start with the parodies. The Onion was one of the first to jump into the making fun of TED business with a rather hilarious spoof starring Cameron Hughes.
We're looking in the eyes of two horrible birds, and we just need a rock that is big enough, efficient enough, and innovative enough to bludgeon them. That rock is an idea. My idea to create a car that runs on compost.
Stephen Colbert followed with his faux series on failed TED Talks called Rejected. There was even a stage play at the 2014 LA Fringe Festival called Death by PowerPoint, depicting TED Talk-like lectures. Canadian Broadcasting's This Is That produced a viciously funny deconstruction of the TED Talk formula.
I am a thought leader. You know that I'm a thought leader because I'm wearing a blazer, I have glasses, and I've just done this with my hands. We end with a question, a very big question. What if everybody in this room decided to come together and agree with what I'm saying? Let's look at the picture of the planet again. That is a world I want to live in.
What made it so devastating to the TED brand was its truth, from the practiced hand gestures to the cuts to the audience watching in rapt, almost cult-like attention, to the nearly inevitable standing ovation. Once the man behind the curtain was revealed, TED lost some of its luster. Then came more serious criticism. University of San Diego professor Benjamin Bratton wrote in The Guardian that TED Talks were a recipe for civilizational disaster because they forced respected scientists and scholars to compete for resources against people who did a better job entertaining the masses. Here he is delivering a TED Talk about the shortcomings of TED Talks. Oh, the irony.
In our culture, talking about the future is sometimes a polite way of saying things about the present that would otherwise be rude or risky. But have you ever wondered why so little of the bright futures promised in TED Talks actually come true? I was recently at a presentation that a friend of mine, astrophysicist, was making to a potential donor. And I thought this talk was lucid, it was engaging, and I'm a professor of visual arts here at UC San Diego. At the end of the day, I know nothing about astrophysics. The donor, however, said, you know what, I'm going to pass. I'm just not inspired. You should be more like Malcolm Gladwell. Now, at this point, I kind of lost it. Can you imagine? I mean, think about it. A scientist who creates real knowledge should be more like a journalist who recycles fake insights. This is not popularization. This is taking something with substance and value and coring it out so that it can be swallowed without chewing. This is not how we'll confront our most frightening problems. This is one of our most frightening problems.
In Britain's The New Statesman, Martin Robbins accused TED speakers of errors and inaccuracies, and of making nothing more than a sales pitch. TED audiences, he said, were only there for support. Without Q&A periods, they had no mechanism to challenge the ideas, even if they were inclined to do so. BBC's John Kelly accused TED of being cultish and pushing ideas from latte-wielding, iPad-clutching, West Coast blue sky thinkers. Slowly, and then suddenly, hating on TED became fashionable. But was it deserved? Julia Prescott wrote, "Bastardizing TED Talks as parody is the social equivalent of why we can't have nice things." And perhaps that's true. Maybe we don't really want what is good for us. We don't want to be told how to think or what we should do. Maybe for every person inspired by a TED Talk, there's another who feels bad that they can't make a friend of stress or reconnect with compassion. But maybe it's not about us. The TED formula, as Robbins said, doesn't allow examination. Perhaps Ted has become too full of hubris, too self-important. Maybe the antipathy many feel toward Ted is as simple as the impulse to pop a balloon that has gotten too full of hot air. In any case, we needn't worry. TED seems to be holding its own against its detractors. It's even gone on the offensive against the backlash with a list of mythbusters on its website addressing such questions as, is TED elitist? Answer, yes, but only for your own good. And is TED full of pseudoscience? Answer, no, but some TEDx talks might be, and it's not TED's fault. While I do think that TED is in love with its own concept, I don't think it will lead to social Armageddon. Don't forget that the E in TED stands for entertainment. If we can learn something about the sex lives of fireflies while also enjoying ourselves, well, what's wrong with that? And listening to Tim Urban talk about procrastination is a much better way to procrastinate than watching another cat video.